Django.
TV, baby.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You are tuned into TV. I'm Amron Adams, and I have a very, very special guest for my first episode back, Destiny Ekaragha.
Hello.
Hi Destiny, how you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming in and seeing me.
No worries.
It was really important that I got you here for this first show because we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You've done a lot and we've got a lot of ground to cover, so
Right.
we'll just go straight in.
Great.
Like, for those people who don't know Destiny, I think I read somewhere, aren't you the third black woman or in the UK to have a theatrically released film?
That's right, yeah.
That's correct, yeah?
Yes.
That in itself is a major, major achievement.
Thank you.
Talk to us about that, because Gone Too Far is the film that we're talking about.
That's right.
You did
I did it. It's funny because it was quite the journey actually. So Gone Too Far. It was originally a play, and it was written by a phenomenal playwright called Bola Agbaje, and it ended up winning the Olivier Award and all of that kind of stuff, which is basically like the Oscars for theatre.
Oscars for theatre, fair enough.
Yes, right. Yeah, that is basically what it is. That's what she won. And then she adapted it into a screenplay, and she was working on that for maybe a couple of years, and then I got attached to it, and I met Bola that way. But I had seen the play, and I did love the play, right. So I was really excited about being on that. But then obviously, as you know, like development can take a while, there were quite a few obstacles, and obstacles that we couldn't do anything about, because it was like a lot of those obstacles stemmed from the majority of the cast being black, so and that was never going to change. So,
but for those obviously who don't necessarily know too much about the film,
right?
The film is centered around a young guy who is of Nigerian descent.
That's right, yeah.
You're also of Nigerian descent.
I am.
Okay, so she's uniquely placed to have directed this film. Okay. And talk to us more about kind of how the lineage of the film and how it progresses.
In story terms?
Yeah, in story terms.
Okay, so the story is about a boy called Yemi, who was born and raised in Southeast London, Peckham specifically, and he meets his eldest brother for the first time. His eldest brother called Ikudaisi. Now, for a lot of Nigerian families, including my own, a lot of mothers, a lot of parents, when they first came to the UK, there were children that they left behind because it was very difficult to bring children as well. So coming here for a better life, absolutely, trying to do all of that kind of stuff. But then once they set up here, it would be very difficult to bring the child over. And then what would tend to happen is that, speaking for my family, once the other kids started to be born, basically here, it was even sort of maybe harder because the Nigerian kids were settled and they were pretty much there in school. So it was very difficult. It was just hard to bring your kids over.
So you've grown up in what I would probably call a traditional Nigerian household. Well, over here in the UK, is that fair to say?
Not
very much, or not very traditional.
Traditional in the sense that I come from a very, there's quite a few of us.
There's a few of you.
There's quite a few of us. You know what I mean? My parents are, are kind of, they're very, very Nigerian.
Yes.
I
had the privilege of meeting them.
Yes.
They are very Nigerian.
They're very Nigerian.
People.
Thank you. I'll let them know you said that. But they're very Nigerian in that sense. But nothing is traditional about the path that we as children took.
Okay.
I think my father would have preferred if we were traditional Nigerians, in that we became lawyers, doctors, and engineers.
Okay. So was that the plan?
Absolutely, that was the plan.
And,
there was nothing else.
At what point did you deviate from this?
I deviated a long time. I mean, because my eldest brother Thomas, he's my brother that was raised in Nigeria.
Okay.
He's probably the more business orientated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's doing what
Nigerians
are supposed to do.
Supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Basically.
How did you escape? How the hell did you escape?
I've got my other older brother to, there's 6 of us, okay? So try to keep up. There's 6 of us. So my other older brother, he was into music from a very young age. But in spite of my father. You know what I mean? My dad was not about that at all.
But they're supportive of it now, obviously.
Now, yeah, for sure. And my mum didn't, I gotta say, my mum didn't care. My mum just didn't, she didn't mind what we did. It was just about us being happy. It was my dad who was like, the almost like the dictator in the house. But it was like, but Oggy was, my older brother Oggy, he was into music a lot. Okay. So, and I loved music, but more so I loved film. It was like, I started watching films from a very, very early age because when you've got older siblings, you tend to watch what they watch. Absolutely. That's the privilege of having an older sibling.
So everyone was really, so would you say that everyone kind of deviated from
Everybody did. Yeah, everyone.
Or, were there some that got left behind, or that kind of stayed on the path as it was?
Nobody did. No.
No doctors. No lawyers.
No.
Okay, good. So
no,
it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. It can be done.
Okay,
yeah, like I'm obviously a filmmaker. My brother's still in music. Dean is my brother that follows me. Is kind of like, what is Dean? Like entrepreneurial sort of kind of.
Right. Got you.
Yeah, it's just about making.
So he's business minded.
Yeah, but he's about making money. It was just like whatever it's in.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, wrong with that. No, it's great. You know what I mean? So I guess, but not academic in that way. My sister, so maybe my sister, my sister kind of works in what does she do? so she works in the corporate world. Fine. So I don't even know what she does. But she works in the
that's okay, because I think that what's important here is, you very early on, I'm guessing, figured out that film and kind of the creative realm is where you wanted to exist.
Sure, I would say not as early as most filmmakers. Right. I would say
what age did you?
I knew I wanted to direct at 24 actually. 24? Okay. So I was very late.
Right. So it's in comparison.
Yes, it's really late. I knew I wanted to work in the media, whatever that was, when I was 14. Right. But that was for stupid reasons. So yeah.
No, I need to hear these reasons.
No, but they were.
I need to hear these reasons. Why
they were
exactly
for creative reasons. Okay. So, all right. So I went to. In school, when I was, I guess 14 is what, year 9, I believe, there was a girl above me. I was in love with a group called 3T. Okay. They were like the Jackson nephews. Do you remember? I don't know if anybody, I'm showing my age now, but they were like Michael Jackson's nephews, and I was obsessed. I loved them. And there was a girl above me who, I guess she might have done a media course or something. Right. And she became she was like, got to be a presenter and interview 3T. And I was like, if I become a presenter, I'll get to meet 3T. That is literally how I went. So media, this media thing, okay, cool. That is literally how I got into media. Okay. So it wasn't any sort of film that turned me onto it. No, I wanted to meet 3T. But then I liked the idea of it. I thought, okay, cool. So I was really bad in school in terms of,
grade-wise?
Yeah, because I didn't do anything. I didn't work. That's another thing, and I don't want to pass this on because I actually think I would never change anything about my past because where I am is where I'm supposed to be. But for the younger ones, I would like maybe try harder. I was that kid that was like, after one try, I'd be like, fuck it, I can't do it. Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah.
And there are people like that have become, by any standards, successful.
Yeah. So it's fun, but I would encourage kids to try harder for sure. But I was just, I don't know. I'm still that way in a sense that my interests have to be piqued for me to do anything. Right. We know each other very well, and I'm just like very much a homebody. I will just be at home watching Netflix. I don't come out for that.
Unless there's money involved.
Yeah, I don't.
Or some sort of something. Destiny's not coming out.
I'm just not.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, you know where to find it.
Because I'm just not. I don't know. I don't know why I'm that way. But in a way, I see it as a blessing because if I do leave the house, it's for something that I'm passionate about, right. Or I always know when I want to do something because I've left my house.
To introduce you to someone now, actually, this is Arlene. Arlene is our resident bartender, and she's made something interesting for both of us. Well, more for you than for me.
This is amazing.
But I'm gonna taste it regardless. Arlene, just let Destiny know exactly what we've got here.
Okay, so we've decided to call this cocktail Gone Too Far.
That is amazing.
And I hope it works. I hope it works for you. So what we've used is Mozart.
Okay.
which is a chocolate-based liqueur.
Okay.
And we've used Chambord, which is a liqueur with raspberry and cognac.
Right.
Also,
This sounds like it's gonna get me turned
Real quick.
I hope so.
Like,
I hope so. I think that's the whole point.
Can we taste it? Can we
You
go for it? So for
can
those
taste it.
people who are just listening to the podcast right now, cheers, Destiny.
Cheers.
We're just gonna taste this cocktail and see what it's saying. Oh, that is strong.
Oh my God.
Wow. It tastes great.
Oh, this is
It tastes
delicious
great.
though.
But
Oh my God. I've gone too far. Oh, Bolo would
this
love
has
this.
really gone too far. For
This
real.
is, it has,
For
but
real,
I'm
for
on
real.
it. I don't care. It's the middle of the day, but I don't care.
I'm gonna pop mine down beside me.
See, I can be like pretty laid back or lazy, some would say, but when I want something, don't make that face.
I'm not gonna say a word. I'm not saying
But when
anything.
when I want something, I go for it, dude. I go for it the
Absolutely.
whole way. So I got my degree, and then I was gonna go into PR because I had no idea that I didn't even know we made films here. That's another thing, you know. That
What, so you thought films were just made in
Hollywood, man. I didn't know about anything about the British film
British
industry.
film
No, nothing. And then, as God will do things, my older brother Oggy was at a party, and a friend of a friend was there, and her name was Tamina Bleasdale, and she works right, and she works in film. And he was like, "Oh, my sister just finished a degree in film. You should meet her." I met her. She was amazing. She gave me my first runner gig.
First gig.
Yeah. So I became a runner on a thing. It was work experience sort of thing, and I was on a film called Wimbledon, a working title film called Wimbledon, and that's when I knew something was up. Like, because it was just the first time. Because even in university, I worked hard, but I wasn't always like passionately fulfilled. You know what I mean? I wasn't like. But this, for me, I was on set and I was like working crazy hours, and I didn't sleep once. I sleep through everything, every lecture, you know what I mean? It's like, it takes a lot to keep me entertained. And I wasn't tired. I was like, I had all this kind of energy, and I was feeling it. I was like, this is home.
But there is something magical.
Yeah, about being on
a
set.
film
Yeah, when you're on a film
For
set, I
real.
was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
I still didn't know if I was, I had no idea what directing was and all that kind of stuff. But I knew I was supposed to be on set. And I'm 21 at this point, so I'm just like, okay, this is amazing. And so I'll be a runner and I'll work my way up. But it didn't really work that way, actually. I was a runner a couple of times, but I didn't get carried like other runners. Other runners would get carried project to project to project.
Right. And you had to kind of keep.
Yeah, like
keep
it wasn't.
reaching
I
out.
wasn't like. I keep making jokes about this, but I'm kind of semi-serious. I was just like, maybe I wasn't a great runner, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that was
Maybe
probably it.
running wasn't your
You
calling.
may. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of see that now. So yeah, and then I did that for a couple of years, and then I was working in the cinema because you got to eat. Plus, working in the cinema is a great job if you're a cinephile. So, but then at 23, I was like, "The fuck am I working in the cinema for? Like, what were you doing?" And then I started looking for internships, and I managed to get one at BBC Films. And originally it was supposed to be 4 weeks, but they ended up keeping me for 3 months, which was very encouraging.
So at that point, they upgraded you from runner to something else.
I was like a production runner.
Okay, good.
Yes,
All
yeah.
good.
So I was just
they
like,
they valued you a little bit
yeah,
more.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So I was like production runner, and basically, they wanted to keep me on, and there was a production going on called Shoot the Messenger, which was directed by Ngozi Onwuara, right?
I remember.
And so that's how I got to stay on, and I met Ngozi. I met a then unknown David Oyelowo, because he was the star of that film, and he was so nice, and I'm so happy to say that he killed it, and he was such a nice guy as well. And then Ngozi finished the film, and the film went to festivals, and she needed a PA. So she asked if I could be a PA. I was her PA, which was great for 2 years. And the reason why it was great was because I got to go to film festivals for the first time.
Right.
So
How was she to work with, though, in terms of as a personality, you'd say? Because Ngozi is very, very accomplished.
very
As-
accomplished,
Just
yeah.
as a person in life, like I think
Yeah.
she might have just clocked life, and that's it.
Yeah.
But but individually, she has a lot of accolades. So
That's
how's,
it, yeah.
how's that?
She was great to work with. She was very, because you gotta understand, I was young and I was still aimless.
Right.
I still didn't know about. I knew I wanted to work in films and stuff, but I didn't have a clear path. I wasn't like, I want to be a director, so therefore I'm writing and doing this. I didn't know still, so she was very almost like an auntie I hope she don't hate me for saying this, but she was like anti Ngozi, like, so she would give me a hard time when I wasn't like sort of like
When you wasn't pulling your weight.
when I wasn't pulling my
lazy.
when I was just like, not necessarily being late. It's not laziness because I was still working. It was more like, I think she saw something in me, right? Yeah, she saw the potential, and I probably didn't see the potential in myself that I as much as she did. So she kind of became an auntie, and you can tell, like, for like a stroppy 22-year-old, sometimes I was like, just leave me alone, but you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just like whatever. And then, but eventually, I went to a talk. I had a day off. I was in New York, I believe, because her film was at the Tribeca Film Festival. Right. And I got to travel and see all these. That was the light bulb moment was that I met other filmmakers that were similar or my age. Right. And they had films at the festival. Right. So I was just like, I didn't even know you could be a director at that age.
But you bring up a good point though, because I think that, you know, over here we kind of haven't necessarily got that dynamic right in terms of like connecting people.
Yes, no, we don't.
And we suffer for it.
Yes, we do. We do.
I'm glad you agree, because it's one of those things that I always think about, like why is it that it's so hard for us to create a system or some sort of environment like the Americans do, whereby filmmakers can get together and collaborate, you know, on a serious level, rather than it just being a meet up where we all just glorify each other. That kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, how would you have found something of that nature coming into the industry, or even now maybe still?
Well, it's interesting. I think again because of I think it would have been. I tell you what would have been really helpful is if there were institutions in place that made it easier for black filmmakers to come up. Right. Like for me, everybody hopefully has got someone in their life. I did have Ngozi who was kind of really hard on me, but not all of us do. Do you know what I mean? So I had somebody to be hard on me and make me kind of think, and even though sometimes I would hate it at the time, I look back on it and I'm like, she really did see something in me, and that's necessary.
So she was a driving force in why.
In a way, because
things have turned out the way that they have.
In a way, like that part of my life is very, very important, just because of the rooms it put me in terms, or the environments, not the rooms, the environments it put me in. Right. And because, you know, I for me, it wasn't impossible. She is a film director and she's a black woman. So this whole idea of a black woman being a filmmaker wasn't alien to me because I was working with one. So it was helpful because of those things. And I went to a talk, a J.J. Abrams talk, and he was talking about how we got started. Right. And he was saying there was a script that he wrote that, even though it was a film script, but he was in television and he couldn't get this film script out of his mind. So he said to the audience, you know, if there's a script that you can't get out of your mind, then you're supposed to do it. And I was like, there is a script that, you know what I mean? It was that moment. I was like, I do have a script. Yeah, and it was The Park, which you're in. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, Amon, if you don't know, Amon stars in a short film that I did called The Park, and that was the film that I went back home. When I got back from New York, I went back home and I dug it up because I'd written it like 2 years prior or 3 years prior. And I read it and I still really liked it. It was very different to what we did because at the time I was heavily influenced by Richard Price. And if you guys don't know Richard Price, you should start reading Richard Price books because he did some of my favorites, which were my favorite being The Wanderers. But I also like The Breaks and... but he's a really great book. He's a like Bronx sort of New York based novelist. And I love his work. So The Park was like these three kids in Brooklyn. And I was like, and I read it, I was just like, this is my ends though. Like this is what I'm, you know.
But I've always wanted to ask you anyway. Like, okay. Obviously, this is a question that it's been on my chest for a minute.
Okay.
Like, what was the aim with The Park? Because The Park's a short film, and it was. I'm guessing it's a story that was very close to your heart.
Absolutely.
It came across that way when we were prepping it. It came across that way in the final film. It really does feel like you kind of got something off of your chest,
right,
when you made it.
Yeah.
Or when we made it.
Yes.
So, what was that? What was that thing that you needed to say?
It's really interesting because a question was posed when I was in university. A question was posed to us, you know what I mean, about secrets. What do secrets mean to you? and sort of like go, you know, you should write about that. And for me, I found, because you know, I went to a girls' school. My secondary school was a girls' school, and in that girls' school, I was seen as the most boyish, if you like a tomboy. Even though I'm not sure how I feel about that phrase anymore. Simply because I don't sort of deem things strictly feminine and strictly masculine. Right. But at the time,
they have elements.
They have elements, and as I get older, I'm just like, I want to wear a suit because I like suits. It's not because I'm trying to be, you know what I mean?
No, because you're trying to be masculine.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be. It's not.
I
I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? But for the sake of this conversation, I would say I guess I was the tomboy at school, and but you know, having 4 brothers and hanging out with boys on my estate, I did find it fascinating. I did find their friendships fascinating. They were very, very different to female friendships. Yeah, very much so, because you know, we spoke about everything. We tell each other everything, and I found that boys had this bond that was like you couldn't, you know, a force field couldn't get through it, and yet they don't talk. There was this. It was just fascinating to watch that nobody's talking about their emotions. Nobody's talking about in the girls' school. It's just like you get your period for the first time. It's just like, oh God, no, you know what I mean? Everybody's talking about everything. Oh, you know, I remember when I got my period. I went in school and I was like, finally, because I was one of the last. I was like 13.
Like, I made it.
Literally, that was it. Like it was like from the rooftops. There was no. We spoke about everything. You know. But boys, no, I found that space in between the friendship.
That what's not said.
What's not said, I wanted to explore. Absolutely. Just that little thing there, I wanted to explore it. I always tell people when they're making their first films to make a film that's their voice, like absolutely their voice.
So what would you say then? What would you say to a young Destiny or a young black female who wants to come into the industry, especially with kind of what we face or what you would face, because I sometimes don't even know what you face.
Right.
What would you say to a young person who wanted to do what you've done or achieve greater things than you?
I would say, first off, I think you have to be aware of the racism and the misogyny. Right. You have to be aware of it, because if you start to, I think. Do
you think that one's worse than the other, or do you feel like they're both just as bad as far as women are concerned in the industry? Is it racism first, misogyny first, or both together just create, you know, a dynamic that
I think, you know what? I think because I'm a director,
right.
I know my blackness stops me in a way too, but I think because a director is seen as such a male occupation, right? Yeah. I think as a director, it's maybe my gender poses more of a question, poses more of a threat to them, maybe. But then the moment I want to put black people in my films, it's just like everything is just goes crazy. It's like, what the fuck? Did I say I want to put Klingons in my film? I'm just talking about human beings.
Fine.
But so it's a weird one to separate from me. You know, I'm both. So it's a weird one to separate. But both will rear their ugly heads in some way, shape, or form. So I would say definitely be aware of the fact that these things exist, but do not carry it, because racism and misogyny is not our problem, it's their problem. Right. And the moment we start to carry it, and I'm paraphrasing, I think Toni Morrison, the moment we start to carry it, it becomes a distraction. Right. And racism is a distraction, misogyny is a distraction, and it only distracts us. Right. Doesn't distract them.
It only distracts the victims.
Absolutely. And that's why we have to kind of, it's very difficult, but you have to kind of rewire your brain in a way so that you can move through this industry and move through it with confidence and move through it without the chip on your shoulder, which is, it's a chip that we deserve. I mean, we deserve to, it's not an unwarranted chip on our shoulders. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like it's something, but somehow we have to have magical powers as a race. You know what I mean?
As people, to kind of navigate,
you know, it's very, very hard. Yeah. But we can turn it and use it. I saw a documentary called "I Am Not Your Negro," which is essential viewing.
Hey, listen.
Essential.
Black, white, green, yellow.
Everybody should be watching that.
You need to watch "I Am Not Your Negro."
James Baldwin, a documentary. It's essential viewing. But he said, again, I'm going to paraphrase, but he says something like, the thing about being black is that in a white world is that I know everything about them and they don't know anything about me. And I think there's empowerment there. And I really do. I think because a lot of the times when we think about it, me and my friends talk about this thing called like dual consciousness that we often have to have as black people. I think maybe even particularly black women, but no, I'd say black people, that it's just dual consciousness of navigating, knowing the white world and then knowing our world and trying to, you know what I mean?
And it's never ever the same.
No.
It's never one.
No.
You've always got to know that out there or over there, you've got to be one way or act one way or say certain things, and over here you're kind of able to be more yourself. Right.
But and I think that the problem with dual consciousness though is that it is actively driving people insane. Yeah. And I mean, for real, you know, people are ending up in mental institutions and stuff like that because it's just a weird way to exist. I'm now of an age or of a time, if you like, or whatever in my life where I'm not doing that. Because I'm just being me.
Destiny,
That's just me. Because I just can't. It's too tiring. And the thing is also, I come out anyway. Like, it's just like, I try to be something. I can't contain it. So there's no point. So it's just about trying to figure out who that person is. Who are you in that room? Like, are you know what I mean?
Are you being true to you?
Are you being true to you? And also, are you intelligent? Like, be intelligent, you know? Know, you know, do the work. If my lasting thing was to say to anybody trying to come into because we can talk about all the channels they can go through and stuff, but you have to love this. You have to, because it's going to hurt you a lot. Like, there's going to be days when you're not eating because you can't afford to. You know, there's going to be feast again, and then famine again. And there's going to be so many doors that close to you. You have to love what you do, because if you don't, then become a lawyer, become a banker. You know what I mean? Become those things. This is great. Do something else. But if you don't love it, when you're mentioning, like, I first met Daniel when he was 16. You know, like, you're talking 10, 12, 13 years in the game constantly. And having doors closed to you, you have to be able to go, no, but I know that I'm supposed to be doing this. And that's not always easy, but it's the only thing that's going to get you through this. And then when you have that little bit of achievement, it's like, oh shit, like, I know it can be done. And then you go and do another one, and you do another one. It's that, what it does is that it kind of ignites a hunger again. It's like, I really need to tell this film. I need to tell it. And when someone's all like being quite slow about it, that fight comes back. At least for me, it's just like, and it's just like, no, it has to be told because, you know what I mean? And in a way, it's great because that's what passion is. And that's what it's about. Like, I can't do anything, like, literally cannot do anything else in my life except for this. It's up to audiences to decide whether I'm good at it or not, but I'm not really concerned about. What was I going to say? I was going to finish that sentence, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm not really concerned about whether, for me, the thing is just about, am I proud of the work? Am I proud of it?
It's about what you're doing and your own experience and how what you're making makes you feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing and a great note to end on, actually. You absolutely have to love what you do. And you have to know that sometimes you are going to be your only supporter. You're going to be the only person that loves what you're making. Does that mean that you shouldn't make it? Hell no. Destiny will tell you, hell no.
No, hell no.
Hell no. Make it, you know? Because one, you never know what doors it will open. Yeah. And two, you know, if you've really got a story to tell and something to get off your chest, nothing should stop you from making it. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. This was fun, man. I can't believe it. I got a drink named after my film.
No, I need to finish drinking this drink. But I want to say,
it tastes delicious. And there's really nice people and really nice setting. So
thank you
this
so
is
much
great.
for coming in and
Thank
having
you.